So hi, Welcome to Noise Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with
Steve from Wolves at the Gate.
And we're asking some questions today about their upcoming album, Eulogies. So congrats on that, by the way. How do you feel about the response to the announcement so far?
It's been great. I mean, you kind of hold on to the music for a long time and you're like, you have all these thoughts like, are people going to like it? I like it. Mm-hmm. But then you're like, I don't know, it kind of seems old to me now because we've been listening to the songs for so long. But yeah, people are digging it and we're happy about that.
Oh yeah. The album rocks, by the way.
Thanks, man.
How long have you been holding on to the songs? You said you're kind of sick of them now.
Well, like even just like a normal, record process, I started writing these songs at around when our last record, Eclipse, came out in 2019. So some of these songs are as old as 2019, but obviously it takes some time to put together a whole record. Mm-hmm. And by the time it's done, it's written, you still haven't recorded it yet. Then there's that process. And then there's all the label stuff you got to do to put out a record. And so it ends up just being a long period of time. And the songs end up feeling old to us by the time they're actually out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. That's valid. Right.
Yeah.
So is there any meaning behind the album title or cover art?
Yeah, I mean, both, definitely. So, I'm not very good at album titles. I just, whenever the label's like, so what's the album going to be? I'm like, I don't know. It's...
Can you name it for us?
Well, it's an after the fact for me. A lot of guys have vision and, for me, it's more so, I just want to make the songs and see kind of what theme I see running through the songs. And, with writing a lot of these songs during quarantine, no touring, no interaction with fans, which is pretty inspirational for me. The people we meet on the road, different things that people are going through. I try to write to those things a lot because those are our listeners, trying to see the things that they're thinking about, struggling with. And on the record, generally, I'll write a couple songs about myself or from my perspective and things like that. But this record was totally self-reflective. And really the idea of Eulogies was, I realized after writing the whole record that, during quarantine, you're at home and you don't get to interact with people as much and time for self-reflection. And honestly, I just saw a lot of things in myself that I was like, man, there's a lot of things in me that I still want to see die, things about myself, things that I think, the way that I view certain things. So I started seeing that thread after I looked at all the lyrics from the songs. I'm like, oh, wow, this is really introspective, which is not normal for Wolves at the Gate album. Mm-hmm. And, but I found that, it was really good for me personally. So the hope is that the things that I wrestled through and still wrestle through and struggle with are things that people can connect with. And so the album art is kind of this idea, the whole record kind of plays with this idea of, a eulogy and seeing the death of certain things. But sometimes the eulogy can actually have a lot of beauty in it as you're thinking about the positive aspect of things. So there's a positive, negative. And so that's why with the album art, we wanted to show something that was really beautiful, but it looked like the beauty was almost suffering, with it being on fire, and how fire is painful, but purifying, but while not destroying the actual, being, which, we use the flower as that imagery. So that's my condensed version of the explanation.
It's very cool.
That was perfect. Thank you for that.
So can you tell us a little about your writing process for this album?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty similar to what it has been over the years. I'm in my little home studio that I built, and it really just starts with, I make songs in here, whether it's on the acoustic, the last single we released, Lights and Fire. Literally couldn't sleep and just came down here, put some new strings on my acoustic, and that was the first thing that came out. And I was like, "Oh, this is rad!" But it took a lot of time to actually. I had probably 3 or 4 versions of that song, So a lot of times songs kind of start in like these like really, you know, small fragments. There's like a little spark always, something that kind of sparks the idea, you know. And I love when it's either a sound or a chord progression or a melody, and just try and take it off from there. You know, is it causing me to feel something? You know, whether it's like, you know, it's like more chill or aggressive, or what emotion is it pulling out, and then I just kind of try to ride from there. And so I basically write a whole song, and then I'll show it to the guys. You know, I'll write every part, but I'm not the best drummer. I'm not the best bassist. I'm not the best, you know, we got guys who are great at that. So I just kind of give them my raw, you know, unfiltered idea and say like, hey, what would you do? How would you make this better? Or how would you do it differently? And that's where things are, you know, a lot of fun to collaborate.
Okay.
Sure. So could you tell us your favorite lyric off this album and the meaning behind it?
Oh boy.
A lot of lyrics.
Probably should have told me that beforehand.
Come on. No, it's on the spot. 3, 2, 1, go.
I think I'd probably have to go with a line from Lights and Fire. And I think it's one of my favorite lines because I feel like it like visually delivers what I was feeling. Like a lot of times when I write lyrics, I feel like I just can't communicate what I'm actually thinking and trying to say. And in the second verse, it's a line that says, I'm laying here with nothing left, just the ashes of my silhouette. And it's really kind of this idea of like, there were these things that I was clinging to and holding on to that were really, they were valuable to me, but they were actually really destructive to me. And it was almost like there was like this purifying of these things being taken away, and they were on me and strangling me. And so when they were taken away, just I was left with the ashes of my silhouette, kind of seeing like, oh, I wasn't destroyed, but these things that were actually killing me were. And so that was when I came up with that line, I was like, whoa, I think I'm actually communicating like that moment in time or how I felt, you know, in a way that's like translatable. So that's probably one of the ones that sticks out to me off the bat. Although, man, what a hard question. It's like, what's your favorite child?
I know there's a lot of lyrics, man. So how'd the track list for the album come about? Did you write the opener be the opener, closer be the closer? Did you just kind of shuffle around and see what fits? What was that process like?
Yeah, there's always like debate in the band of what should be where. And thankfully we all agreed on, once the record was done, Shadows first and Silent Anthem last. Those were pretty obvious. And then from there, it's just trying to figure out what kind of gives you the journey, what track listing takes you on the journey in the best way. And it's kind of, I think it is subjective for sure. You know, but this was our collective best effort at giving you guys the journey we would want you to go on. So
I think you did a good job.
So could you tell us where your headspace is at while you were creating this record?
Yeah. I was really, this is strange, really grateful. You know, it's really hard to make albums. It's not easy. And it's also like with all the insanity going on in the world and people losing a lot, people losing jobs, people being isolated from family. You know, I was still able to do something that I absolutely love and enjoy doing. And, you know, I'm 35, you know, somebody would have told me I'd be doing this as long as I have been. You know, we've been a band for 14 years or something like that. You know, 15 years, like, yeah, I wouldn't believe him, you know. And so it was really cool to be able to make this record. So that was one side of it. And the other side of it was just realizing, you know, a lot of our songs revolve around our faith. And really, as we've kind of grown to understand what is the gospel. It's kind of like this word that gets thrown around in like Christian religious circles. And, you know, the older I get and the more I realize I don't have everything together as much as I think I do, like personally or even understanding wise. You know, it enabled me to, I think each record I'm able to come to the record with more humility, which I'm grateful for, because for talking about the gospel, meaning God showing grace to people who haven't earned it, showing love to people who haven't earned it, and it's free for everyone. We're all the same, and we all can receive this beautiful gift. It should be approached with humility. It should be approached with empathy, thinking about others and the pain that they're going through. And so that's kind of where my headspace was at too. Like, as I was looking in the mirror, realizing like, I'm not anything great or wonderful. I don't have it all put together. I'm not anything worth emulating, you know, but rather this idea of this grace that's been given to me. I just want people to see that and not me. And so that's kind of where my headspace was at, like through the record. I guess more that's really in regards to lyrics and stuff like that and meaning.
For sure. So how do you recommend your fans to listen to this album for the first time? Should they do it in the car with friends, in the dark with headphones on, party album, workout album? What do you personally recommend?
Well, it's funny you ask, because I guess there's parts of the record where it's like, yeah, it should be in the dark, headphones, just listening, thinking, and parts of the record where it's like, hey, like make your way to the gym, you know, throw some plates on the bar and toss it up there, or, you know, or yeah, like songs that are fun to just like jam to with your friends. You know, I would say to each his own. However you consume music and enjoy it the most, like that's how you'll get the most out of it, you know. And that's another cool thing about music, is that is totally subjective. It's up to you, you know, because, you know, I can't expect people to have the same experience that I would have when I listen to music. So I would say, yeah, do what you do and enjoy it, and put yourself in the best place to enjoy an album. Because I think it's really easy to just enjoy singles nowadays and not actually an album. And we really, you know, we put 13 tracks on this record. We weren't trying to just write singles and fill it up. You know, we wrote 30 songs, and these were the best that we felt should be on the album. So, yeah.
What was your process like whittling that down?
Yeah.
Well,
walk us through that.
Yeah. Well, you know, whenever people ask me this question, I always wish all the other guys were with me, because, you know, I've really had to learn over the years to, just have thick skin. And like, if guys they're not digging it, like there's usually a good reason. And, you know, we never put songs on the record that somebody doesn't like, you know. That's never a thing. Everybody needs to feel good about every song, because we are a band. We're 5 people. It doesn't matter if I wrote every single note, or Joe wrote every single note, or Ben, or Nick, or Abishai. We as a band need to feel like we all own it. And so when we all agreed on what those songs were, that's when we knew those are the ones that go on the record. And what's crazy is like, there's songs on this album that didn't make older albums because they weren't good enough at the stage that they were in, you know. Like the song Dead Weight didn't make Eclipse. Silent Anthem didn't make Eclipse, but they were so different now than they were back then, because I still believed in them. But I was just like, all right, I get what you're saying, guys. I'll go back to the drawing board. And you know, we revisit the songs, and they're so much better through that. And so just because they don't make it on an album doesn't mean I throw them in the garbage. Some of them I do. Some of them are like, yeah. That was a 2 a.m. jam session. Thought it was sick. Wasn't.
I'm sorry for bringing it to the table, guys.
Yeah.
So this one should be super, super quick. Off the top of your head, I want you to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words. No more, no less.
You said describe it in 3 words.
Yes.
Aggressive, sincere, emotional.
Perfect.
There you go.
So in that same train of thought, is there a certain feeling or emotion you want listeners to have while going through the album?
Yeah, definitely. You know, that's what I love about music, is not just that one song can have one emotion, but even one song can take you on a journey of emotions too, you know. Because a lot of the songs catalog low lows and high highs for me, you know. Realizations of like really some of the darkest parts of myself, and wanting people to kind of follow me there, musically and lyrically, but to not just stay in that place, but to show people how I reconciled with something that seems like it should completely crush me. And you know, and that's why my faith has been such an important part of our music, because for some people there is a radical moment that happened in their life where maybe it was a drug overdose or a loss of a loved one or a broken relationship, and that's something that has like drastically changed or set the trajectory of their life, you know. And there's tons of bands that like they're still, their music and the pain they feel or whatever is still driven by this one moment. For me, that's what when I came to understand for the first time in my life what is the purpose of life, you know. What, you know, is there a God? Is he real? You know, does he hate me? You know, does he love me? If he is going to love me, how is he going to love me? You know, all those sorts of questions. And so with that like radical moment in my life, you know, I think I love taking people on that journey so that they can kind of see through the lens of my experiences or the truth that I've come to understand. Because it's crazy what a song can do. I could sit here and talk to somebody for 3 hours and listen to a song, and the song had much greater effect than anything I could say, you know. So yeah, it's super cool.
For sure.
Music's amazing that way.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite memory that you made while creating this record?
I love the guys in our band. They're my guys. And so doing a lot of this separated from them was, you know, I'm here at like 1 a.m. in the morning, blasting the music, rocking out, just wishing somebody else was here in the room with me to be like, you know, and like, yeah, just vibing off that. But once, you know, lockdown rules changed, we were able to get together to basically work on all the songs before we recorded everything. And we were together in Columbus, Ohio, kind of where the band started. We were there at our buddy's studio for like 4 days for like this like intense, you know, powwow of going through all the songs. And yeah, it was hilarious. Our buddy Jeremy used to play guitar in our band a long time ago. We were at his studio, and he had like tons of like flavored seltzer in his fridge, and we were like pounding this stuff, like, because we didn't leave the room, you know, like I was sitting in the chair for like 12-15 hours, you know, we're just going at it, but we're all pounding this seltzer, and we're all just like, we're like amped. And all of us are kind of like, why are we like so, you know, like we're like bouncing off the walls. Well, there was caffeine apparently in this seltzer. And we didn't know that, you know, and like Joey grabbed the can. He's like, guys, there's caffeine in this. He's like, that's why we're like all bonkers, like losing our mind. We were having so much fun, but we would like go super high and then like crash really hard and then drink some more seltzer and be back up on the top of the roller coaster, you know. So that whole scenario, but that was something that was fun, you know. But working on all the songs was a blast, you know. We were just laughing and, you know, just enjoying creating stuff together. So
that's great. That's a good story. So picture this: you're on tour, you're at a gas station for a rest stop. What is your snack of choice?
Well, I'm not gonna say I never buy water because there's always water at the venues. So we were always taking, as much water from the venues.
Yeah.
So I mean, like that's something I would get, but I would probably say, oh, I got one right here. I got one. I only ever get it on tour, but I was at a gas station. Arizona green tea.
Mhm.
That's definitely a preference for me. And then probably I can't remember what it's called. It's like a spicy Dorito.
Takis?
Like I was gonna say Taki.
No, it's not Takis, but it is actually like Dorito brand. I can't remember what the flavor is. It's just it's in a purple bag. That's all I remember.
The spicy sweet, whatever the fuck they are.
Yeah,
yes, Yes, that's what I'll go.
Those are the best. Those are the best ones. None of the caffeinated seltzer for anybody in the band.
No. Learned our lesson.
That's fair. So on the topic of food, if the band was a dish, what dish would the band be?
Oh gosh. I can only think of like funny dishes. I don't know if I want to put us in that category or not. I mean, listen, every bit of me wants to say that we're just steak and potatoes, but that just seems too like nice. Like we're not that great,
Oh, wow.
I would say maybe like a meatloaf,
Okay, I mean that's still good.
It's like, listen, my wife makes a really good meatloaf, and I didn't even know that was possible, to be honest. So I'm gonna say my wife's meatloaf.
Okay.
It tastes good. You don't think it'd be good, and then you actually have it, and you're like, okay, this is pretty good. So
okay.
All right.
Perfect.
So for the last couple questions, so I can shift away from music and go straight to death row.
Boom.
So if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with drink?
I thought you were gonna talk about like what's my view on the death penalty. I was like, whoa, this guy.
No. We're not gonna get that heavy.
No.
We're sticking to food and shit. It's okay.
They just sent me these questions. Yeah. So death row. So like my all-time favorite meal is it's called penne vodka. I don't know if you guys know what penne vodka is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So probably penne vodka with this sauteed sausage, side of broccoli rabe, and glass of wine.
Perfect.
Base.
Cheesecake for dessert. Cheesecake for dessert.
What type of cheesecake? Are we talking like New York, or do you have a special flavor?
Oh yeah, New York. Yeah,
New York.
Classic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So if you could live in one fictional world for a week, where would you live?
Spider-Man. I want to be
nice.
That's probably like my most dreamed dream is that I'm Spider-Man, but in all of my dreams, like I just start web slinging and then I wake up and it's like so
you never get to live it out.
It's like all the boring parts of being Peter Parker and then or Steve Cobucci becoming, Spider-Man, and I just start web swinging and I wake up and I'm like,
the alarm goes off. Fuck.
Dang.
No, I need to web sling in New York City. Yeah.
One of these days.
Wait. But if you could pick like a universe Spider-Man that you would want to be, would you want to be like Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, what's his name, Tom Holland, or would you want to be you as Spider-Man?
I would say the cartoon that was on Fox, like back when I was growing up. Like I loved the animated series. I read the comic books growing up, so I would say the non-real. the not I guess not the live action, but the comic book version. Yeah.
All right.
That's perfect. I respect that.
So I've asked the last question, and every single person we've spoken to has said that it is the most important question. What's your favorite color?
Gosh, my kids ask me this question all the time, and I'm like, am I at the age where I like don't care about this anymore?
No.
You have to have an answer because you have to give your kids an answer.
Yeah.
It's so hard. I love you guys ask this question. Well, can I say what I always said as a kid? And maybe this is cheating, but my favorite color combination was red and black. Okay. I just thought it looked cool. my favorite like soccer team when I was a kid growing up was AC Milan, which is like an Italian soccer team, and their jerseys were like red and black stripes.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought they looked so cool.
Mm-hmm. Red
fair.
and black is a good
we'll
combo.
Take that.
Yeah.
So if somebody doesn't accept that, we'll just say red.
Okay.
There you go.
All
Or
right.
black.
Or black. Well,
Yeah.
Like, there you go. See?
most of my clothes.
So as I said, that's all the questions we have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
What are your favorite colors?
Black.
Yellow.
Yellow and black.
Yes.
That's awesome. My son's I asked Johnny, I was like, what's your favorite color? He's like, blue and yellow. Because of construction. Like he thinks everything in construction is blue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cute.
So that's sick. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you guys all these like cool questions you asked me. I don't...
We can do it at the end if you'd like. That's cool.
Yeah.
For us. We got nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Literally.
But plugs, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Record's coming out, so hopefully, if you're listening, you know that now. So check it out. I'm excited for people to hear the whole record. We didn't put any duds in there. We feel great. We want everyone to hear all of them. So go check that out. We have got another music video coming out soon. 2 more singles we're gonna release. We got some other goodies that we filmed and had a lot of fun doing. So I'm really excited to share that with people. So there's lots of stuff still on the horizon coming out. We're gonna do guitar playthroughs. People have been asking us to write tabs for our songs for the longest time. I hate doing that, so I was just like, Joe, let's just film ourselves playing guitar. You guys can figure it out from there.
Perfect.
There you go. Yeah.
So, yeah, we're trying to do the best we can to connect with whoever's listening to us. So just pay attention. And again, this has been long running for us, but we are not like distant from our fan base. If you message us, we're going to respond. So if you guys want to chat, you have to have something to talk about. Some people just message us and say hi, and then I say hi back, and they're like, "What's up?" And I'm like,
Oh.
nothing much. I'm like, you want to talk? Like, we can talk for sure, but I'm not good at small talk.
All right.
So, yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for now. That's been Steve from Wolves at the Gate, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.